Am I the only millennial still dealing with straight up financial trauma from the Great Recession? Anyone else? Hey y'all, my name is Kara Perez. I'm the founder of Bravely Go, and today we're going to talk about how to financially survive a recession. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're trying to make it through these wild financial times with me. As someone who lived through the Great Recession, I started college in 2007, right as things started to go sideways, and I graduated in 2011 when the job market had still not recovered. I can tell you that financial recessions impact every area of your life. And if you're not prepared, if your money isn't ready for a recession, if your financial skills and literacy aren't ready for a recession, you can and unfortunately will get left behind. So today we're going to talk about how to survive a recession and maybe even use it as a chance to radically transform your life. So number one, yes, it's the tried, the true, you need to make a recession budget. I know this is the first piece of advice that everybody gives, but that's because it is the most essential to surviving a recession. You need to have a budget scenario that lays out what you will do if you lose some or all of your income. You should know exactly what categories you can eliminate totally, you should know exactly what categories you can pull back in, and you should have a couple ideas for how you can diversify your income. We have a whole other video on how to prepare for a job loss, so go check that out if you want more details on how to manage that. In your recession budget, we really want to focus on two things. One, having your needs met, so keeping your housing, keeping your health care, keeping your child care if you need that. And two, keeping your financial life strong. Ideally, I don't want your credit score to suffer in a recession. Ideally, I don't want your ability to invest to suffer in a recession. Again, I am saying ideally here. I understand that everyone is coming from different backgrounds, different abilities, different financial privileges. Here's exactly what to include in your recession budget. Your rent, your mortgage, your food, and think things like whole foods, not just bags of chips, which I personally am totally guilty of buying too many of, childcare, healthcare, transportation, and finally, family financial obligations. Maybe you pay your mom's phone bill or you have to send money to family out of the country. You want to include those things. Start with these categories and eliminate everything else. We want to know how much your bare bones, basic financial life costs. Remember, you can always add things back in. I'm not saying you need to live without Amazon Prime or going out to eat for the rest of your life, but this is in case of a huge financial shock to your life, and we just want to know what the basics are. It's really important that we have this basic number because if we want to come out on the other side of a recession better than when we went into it in terms of assets, we need to have financial wiggle room. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Embracing sustainable living. We live in a world that discards things far too easily. We live in a trash culture. Things are poorly made, so we can only use them for a short period of time before we toss them and need to replace them. And what's worse is often we don't feel any attachment to the things we're buying. We're just sort of like, yeah, okay, I need this, now I don't need this. I need this, now I don't need this. But we're not really developing any sense of like ownership or pride around a lot of things in our lives. We're emotionally detached. According to the World Bank, the world generates 2.01 billion tons of municipal solid waste annually, with at least 33% of that, extremely conservatively, not managed in an environmentally safe manner. This is crazy. And I use that word intentionally. It is crazy that we are acting as if our world and as if we ourselves can continue down this path forever. We simply can't keep making and discarding things in the manner that we currently are. And that's why developing more sustainable habits is not only a fantastic way to help out Mother Nature, but it's a fantastic way to radically transform your financial life and to survive a recession. A 2010 NBC article showed that Americans developed habits during the 2008 recession that allowed them to get more usage out of their things, aka more Americans became frugal. And even after the economy started to recover, many Americans had experienced such a huge loss of wealth during the recession and had saved so much more money by changing their shopping habits that they kept those habits even as the economy improved. Look, in a recession, anyone whose last name isn't Kardashian or Bezos is probably cutting back. So use this as an opportunity to become more sustainable, to develop more sustainable habits. Frugal is cool in a recession, y'all. That means that learning new sustainable skills like learning how to sew, finally busting out that toolkit that you keep in your closet and fixing the things you already own rather than running out to Target to replace them. All of these things are skills that you can use to save money right now during weird financial times and that can save you money in the long run. Comment below 2008 and let me know if and how you survived the Great Recession and what, if any, frugal habits you developed that you're still rocking with today. Moving on, next what we want to do is diversify and protect our income sources. The shittiest thing about recessions is that they usually come with widespread layoffs. Anyone who has ever gone through a period of unemployment and job hunting knows how isolating and stressful being unemployed can be. Try and protect your sources of income and if possible, try and diversify them. Now, let me be clear, I am not some hustle culture YouTuber who's telling you to monetize every single part of your life. That is not my vibe, that is not my belief system, and I don't think it's the best way to go about protecting your financial life. If you monetize every single thing that you do in life, every single hobby, every single part of being awake and conscious, I think it really drives more people like up the wall than it does bring financial benefits. But honestly, that's a whole other video. Instead, I want you to focus on protecting your main source of income, the thing that brings you the biggest amount of money. For a lot of people, that's going to be your W-2 9-to-5 job. But if you're an entrepreneur like me, I want you to sit down and review your streams of income. There's probably one where you make the most amount of money, right? Like if you are a landscaper, it's probably from going out and like landscaping people's homes and not so much from the, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something else a landscaper can do. Like this, maybe you sell plants on the side, but that's a smaller stream of income. So what you want to try and protect is that like going to people's houses and working on their lawns. Some ways to try and protect that, like if you're a W-2 worker, maybe try and get a free certificate that you can add to your resume that you can show to your employer and say, look, I'm really committed to this job, don't fire me. And for entrepreneurs, maybe it is expanding your marketing efforts, reaching back to past clients, asking for testimonials, asking for referrals, something like that. As for diversifying, there's always the side hustle. And you know what, as someone who paid off my debt by working 5 different side hustles, I really can't knock it because it has worked for me in my own life. And again, I don't advocate for monetizing every single waking moment of your life. However, if you've got the time and the desire, there's all sorts of ideas, everything from freelancing online to dog walking to babysitting, that are ways that you can bring in a little extra cash on the side. Or a lot of extra cash on the side, honestly. You can also diversify your income by doing much simpler things like buying dividend-paying stocks. These are a type of stock that pay you, usually quarterly, sometimes annually, for owning them. This payment is tied to how much of the stock you own and the performance of that stock. So if you own just a little tiny bit, your dividend is only going to be just a little tiny bit. But if you own a lot of it, your payment really can add up and become a very, very easy way to diversify your income. And, you know, if you don't have the time to be walking dogs all over town during a recession, something like this that's a little more passive can be a really great way to do that diversification without outputting more of your time. If you're curious to learn more about investing, we do have a couple of investing resources, from free articles to our online courses, at the link in our description, so you can check those out. Another thing about diversifying income to note is that people's lifestyles change during a recession. And that might mean that they have new needs. Let's say you get laid off, but your neighbor who has a new baby keeps their job. They might be looking for in-home help with their newborn, and you're looking for a new way to make money. So I want you to get creative and look for opportunities that are specific to your life. Now, how can you use a recession to radically transform your life? I am not a fan of the rather piping hot take that millionaires are made in recessions. This is a very popular take in certain finance, YouTube, TikTok circles. Not really my circles, but since it's out there, I wanted to address it. This millionaires are made in recessions is a hugely broad and generally tone-deaf statement. Remember that the hallmark of a recession is that people lose jobs. It's hard to become a millionaire when you don't have any money coming in that you can turn into an asset. And the last major recession we had, the Great Recession, was I mean, it almost collapsed our entire financial system across the globe. So to say that recessions are nothing but a money-making opportunity is incredibly heartless. However, some people do keep their job through a recession, and if that's going to be the case for you, I did want to walk you through a few things you can do to change your financial life, and coming back to our love of sustainability, to live more sustainably. Let's talk about investing during a recession. You should only be investing during a recession if your needs are met, you have a 4 to 6 month emergency fund, you are not going into debt, and you can withstand volatility in the market. Don't throw money you don't have into the stock market just because somebody on YouTube or TikTok told you to. That's the lack of nuance that I'm talking about. Yes, maybe Warren Buffett says that millionaires are made in recessions. But Warren Buffett also has $1,000 gajillion, and he can withstand financial loss better than 99.9% of people on the planet. Remember, put your own financial oxygen mask on first before taking any financial risk. If you check everything off that list, yes, you can invest during a recession. See, when stocks go down in value, this is a chance for you to get them cheaper. If, and this is just a total example, 6 months ago, a single share of Google's stock cost $1,000, and then bam, we hit a recession and it gets cut in half. Now it's only worth $500. You have an opportunity to get that at basically 50% off. I generally try to avoid the phrase like stocks are on sale because again, I think it lacks nuance. And nuance is essential for good financial literacy. Oh my God, put that on a t-shirt. Nuance is essential for good financial literacy. Whew, talk about an unpopular take in the financial community. Yet it is true. But suffice it to say, when the market is down, that is an opportunity for you to be able to buy more things, more shares, more stocks whose value is likely to go up. If you buy an index fund at $50 a share, and then a year later it triples to $150 a share, you have earned money. Now, I'm using quotes because it's slightly more complicated than that. You don't really earn the money until you sell, and of course, you have to pay taxes on capital gains, but that's the premise. The more shares you can buy at that $50, the more likely you're going to be to earn money when it hits $150 or even goes beyond. This is what people are referring to when they say that a recession is a chance to build millions. It's a chance for you to get in when everything is cheaper and then to hold on to these things when they become more valuable. This is what we have seen happen after every recession. It's so hard to be in a recession, but the recession always ends. And if the recession doesn't end, that's a good sign that we're basically at the end of capitalism. And honestly, we're going to have much bigger fish to fry than worrying about if your Google shares are going to recover or not. Here's what we saw happen after the Great Recession in 2007. 10 years after the crisis began, the S&P 500 returned 7.8% annualized, including dividends. That's not far below the very long-term average yearly return of just under 10%. So a very unlucky investor who climbed into equities as they were about to careen off a cliff hasn't been hurt too badly. Basically what I'm saying here is buy and hold, people. Buy and hold. Increasing your contributions to your workplace retirement account is probably the easiest way to buy more stocks during a recession. Just have the money pulled automatically from your paycheck and have it automatically buy stocks for you. You can also do this if you have a self-employment plan or if you have an IRA. You can set up those auto deductions. Now remember, I also said we want to use a recession to live more sustainably. I mentioned earlier about how we live in this trash culture. I think it's also really important that if we want to come out of a recession better than we entered it, we want to be examining our financial lifestyle and our financial habits. It's not just gobbling up assets at a cheaper rate. It's also thinking about what is my output? What is my imprint, right? If you've spent the last 10 years really experiencing a lot of lifestyle inflation, a recession is a fantastic chance to kind of reset and get back to a little bit more of a minimalist, a little bit more of a sustainable lifestyle. I don't want you to feel like I'm telling you you can't have fun. I don't want you to feel like I'm telling you you can't spend money on anything but stocks. You absolutely can. But really take this time to sit down and ask yourself, the life I have been living, is that a life I want to continue living? Is there a part of my life I want to change and a part of my life I want to keep in place? Just having these big picture questions often leads us to say like, yeah, why am I spending so much time shopping? Why is the only way that I hang out with my friends going to a restaurant? What if I switched that up and started hosting people more or going for more walks and runs with people that cost me $0? Y'all, please drop your tips for surviving a recession in the comments, because I think we all want to know ways that we can get through rough economic waters together. And if you learned something, please give this video a like and make sure to hit subscribe.